consuming a lot of information, but how do you make the parts you deem important stand out? Sure, you could use bold or italics or even use the headings and folder capabilities of Obsidian, but isn't there a better and more aesthetic way of doing this? Well, now there is. Obsidian's default callout feature. We'll be going through the standard set that comes with Obsidian, and for the creative minds, we'll show you how to make your own callouts with the icon, color, and shape that you want. When you install Obsidian for the first time, you already have these callouts available for use. It's part of the standard package, comes as a default. So let's quickly look at the different callouts already available for you to use immediately. We have info, we have note, we have abstract summary, to do, info, tip, hint, important, check, done, success, question, help, fact, error, danger, missing, failure, fail, my personal favorite, bug, warning, caution, attention, example, quote, and cite. You can also create a cascading effect with this warning, caution, attention. This is just what happens when you basically want to add a callout within a callout. It just adds the colors together and it creates a darker orange every time you insert another callout within a callout. And this is something you can decide to turn off if you don't like it. For me personally, I like the visual effect that it gives me. So I'm going to stick with this. So let's quickly run through an example. First things first, you need to make sure that your settings is the same as mine. And it's just one setting that we need to do. And this is with regards to the toggle at the top right of your screen. You can see we're currently in reading mode. So if you just hover over this stencil, current view reading, click to edit. So let's click to edit. You can see you're going to the back end of Obsidian. So this is just where we specify the callout. Obsidian interprets this little line, and when you go back to reading view, it creates this visual for us. The default settings in Obsidian looks like this. If you go to the settings at the bottom left, we'll open up the settings menu. In editor, we have default editing mode. And Obsidian starts the program with live preview. And what this means is you can't see the back end of the callouts or any other code for that matter until you click on it. And then you can change it. Personally, I don't like this. You can choose if this is for or not for you. For me, I'm going to go to settings. I'm going to go to editor. I'm going to go to default editing mode, and I want to change this to source mode. Okay, so now we can control E. We can switch between reading and editing mode, or you can just go to the top right, reading, editing mode. Shortcuts will come in time if you're new to Obsidian, so don't stress about it. I've also been using my mouse quite a bit, and over time you start to figure out what the shortcuts are, and it just makes your life a little bit easier. But for people starting out, just use a mouse. So first things first, let's create a little line for us to separate our code that we're going to type now. So when you go to reading mode, you can just see it added a gray little line separation. And let's say we want to create a bug callout. You start with a bigger as sign. It's spacebar once, square, open brackets, exclamation mark, and let's just type out bug. We go to reading mode, Control E, or again, you can go to the top right. You can see that we now have a bug callout. You can change the heading. So by default, it comes with a heading of bug. So let's say we want to change that. Can click one space and we can say this is a bug that we go to reading mode. You can see it changed the heading. If we want subtext, we can. This is subtext to our callout, and we see we now subtext. We can indent this a little bit by just typing 2 of them instead of 1. There's 2. You say this is subtext. You can see it just creates a little indent and a line for us. You can also have a callout within a callout. And how you do that is you just need to play around with it a little bit, see if it works. Same thing, let's say we want a warning callout. You can see that we have a warning callout within our callout. You can change this to whatever you want. So let's say we want a tip on how to solve this bug. And we can have, we now know how to solve it, subtext, jokes, we don't got them. And we can see we can play around with this. You can tailor it to your preferences, but this is essentially all you need to know about the default set of callouts. Maybe one thing you can note is that you can choose to fold callouts by typing either a plus or a minus right after your callout specification. And what a plus does is when you switch back to reading mode, it would automatically have your callouts and all the things inside your callout open, meaning expanded. So if you go to reading mode, you can see that everything is expanded, but now you can go click on the heading and you can fold it if you don't want to see everything inside of it every single time when you are on a specific note. But by default, when you navigate to that note, this will be open. If you want it to automatically be closed, you just replace the plus with a minus. And now we can see that when you switch to reading mode, it was automatically collapsed. And you can just click on the heading or this little bigger as sign to open it up or close it down. So that's basically all you need to know about the default callouts. If you want auto completion, meaning if we just delete all of this and we delete all of this and now we just left with this bug. Let's say you want auto completion when you are trying to find a callout and you don't want to go to the internet and find out what callouts are available to you, and you say I want something that says warning, but you can't remember how to spell it. Maybe you want something to autocomplete that for you. For now, you can't do that. You need to type it out or go find the word. But there is an add-on that you can add that will allow you to autocomplete these callouts. And the way to do that is just go to settings at the bottom left. You click on community plugins and it's just going to say, hey, do you want to turn on community plugins? You're going to say yes. And the second option is browse community plugins. And let's search for admonitions. If more people are using it, there's less chance of it having any malicious or negative effects on your dashboard. So that's good. That's going to be a good indicator for whether a plugin is good or bad. And you click on it and you click install. And once it has installed, you see top right, successfully installed, you're going to click enable. And now if we start typing, we can see that it auto-completes warning. Let's say these are personalized callouts. And this is something that I went to find this icon that I liked for metadata. And I like the styling of just gray instead of having no border. I have a border. You can see with this code block, it has a little bit of illumination at the back. So we're going to talk about how you can implement a personalized callout. So creating custom callouts might look a little bit more difficult than what it actually is, but you can just follow along with precisely what I'm doing and you'll see how you can cater to your needs and what icons you want and what color you want. If you want a border, if you want a background, you'll see it's quite intuitive once you have the standard set of code. So first things first, go to the bottom left, click on settings, going to navigate to appearance, and then you're going to scroll all the way down where you see CSS snippets. The CSS snippet, it should say no CSS snippets found. You're going to click on this little folder, and that should create a snippets folder within our Obsidian backend data. You don't need to worry what that means, just click on open snippets folder, and that should automatically open up a new folder at the desired location. Now, what you need to do is you need to right click, you need to say new, and we are going to create a new text document. Let's call it custom, let's call it my custom callouts. Click enter, open it up, and we can see that we don't have anything in this document because it's a blank text file. I'm going to click on file, you're going to say save as, and at the file name we're going to say .css, and you'll see that in our folder we only have one file. Once you click save, it's going to create a brand new my custom callouts with a type cascading style sheet. So that's just the code, the coding language that we are going to write the code for this custom snippet or custom callout. So we can close this up. For our original just type text document file, we can right click and delete. Now we're left with just my custom callouts, type cascading style sheets. Open it up, and we're gonna just start typing. So with a dash and a star and another star and a dash, anything within these sets of icons is going to be taken up as text, meaning you can create a note for yourself. You just say the below code is going to do this. The below code creates a, let's go for a metadata, or like the Americans like to say metadata field. Callout. And this means nothing. It's just a text for yourself. It's not going to do anything. And now I want you to just follow along with exactly what I'm saying. And afterwards, you can change it up to whatever you want to do. So dot, I'm going to say call out to L's, open square brackets. We're going to say data dash call out equals, and then we're going to have open quotes, close quotes. We're going to end off the square brackets, and we are going to click space, and we're going to have a squiggly brackets open, enter, curved brackets close. And now we have our basic layout for specifying specific callouts. So in between the two quote marks, we're going to specify the name that we want to give. So we're going to say metadata. Going to click in the middle. So between the curvy open and close brackets. And you're going to hit tab once. Going to have two dashes, dash dash, call out color, and then we're just going to specify the RGB color. So the RGB, red, green, blue color matrix that I'm going to specify here is for the gray color, my own customized callout colors that we've seen a couple of minutes ago. And you can change it. You can go on Google and search for the ideal color that you want your callout to be. But for now, we're going to stick with my gray. 106 for red, 134 for green, and 149 for blue. You're going to end it off with this symbol. So every line of code, you're going to end off with this symbol. Next one, click enter, click tab, dash dash, call out, two L's, 3, call out, and we're going to say call out icon. So we have dash dash call out icon. In order to find the icon, we're going to go to a website called Lucid. Don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but let's say we want our icon to be a palm tree. Okay, cool. So we have palm tree. Go back to our code and we say Lucid, the website's name, dash palm tree. Click save, go to your Obsidian, and what you're going to do now is we are going to go to appearance. So settings, appearance, scroll the way down, make sure that my custom callouts is activated. Click reload snippets just to be safe, and we're going to start typing it out. So we're going to call it exactly the same way we called our other callouts. So it's big as, sign, space, open square bracket, exclamation mark, and our name was metadata. So you can see the icon is not there yet. So it sometimes takes a couple of minutes to reflect the icon. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that in our code that we did finish it off, that we spelt everything correctly. Palm tree, if we go to the website, palm tree, palm tree. So we spelled that correctly, we spelled Lucid correctly. Make sure you don't have extra spaces, just one space, call that icon, everything else looks fine. Let's get back to our Obsidian. Go into edit mode, take that last A off, go to reading mode, and then we'll see it reverted back to the default callout if it does not recognize the callout, and finish it. So it just takes a couple of minutes. If it doesn't show immediately, you always have to just go back and just delete it, reading mode, put it back, full name, and when you go to reading mode again, the palm tree will be there. So let's say we want to add a border around our callout. Go back, we click enter, as always tab, and this time we're going to say border, and you can just follow along. So first of all, we're going to specify how large we want our border to be. So we're just going to make it 1 pixel, so 1, no space in between px. See if I can zoom this in. No, I can't. I do not want help. No. Okay, 1 px. I'm going to say it should be a solid. So I'm guessing you could say dash here as well. And then we're just going to specify the RGBA. RGBA, open brackets. I'm going to say, let's just make it black. So 255, 255, 255, and we're going to specify if we want translucent or not. So let's just make it 9% translucent. So 255 for red, green, and blue. That just means it's color black, and we are going to make it a little bit more transparent. So it's going to give us a grayish color. So close it and finish it off with this syntax. And now if we save, can you type Control S, save, or you can go File and Save. You should see it change immediately. But there we have it. So if you change this to 10, you can see now we have a big border. Let's just go back to 1. You can even change the color. So let's say we have the green 5 instead of 255, and we click Save. You can see that the color of the border is purplish. Let's just make it bigger so you guys can see. File, Save. So this is how you play around with these callouts in this code. And once you have a sample code like this to work off of, it's quite simple just to go play around, because you can always just go back to your original code. There's no real damage that you can cause from here. So let's just go back to 1, let's go back to 255, and let's make the transparency 90% instead of 9%. Save. Okay, I was wrong. 255 everywhere equals white. If I did 0, 0, 0, then that would be black. So let's just go 0, 0, 0, and we say save, then it should be black. If we make the transparency 9%, it would also just be black, so you can't see much difference. Let's make this 100 for the thickness, and you can see it basically takes up all the space because it's so big. So let's take it back to 10, and we can see, although not very clearly, we can see that there's a gray border. So this essentially has the same effect. So let's just go back to the white color, 255, 255, 255, and let's make it 1 pixels thickness, and save. Okay, so now we have like a grayish white border. I like that. Next, let's curve the edges. So you can see it's quite sharp edges. So let's say we want it to be more rounded. We go to next line, click tab, and we're going to say border radius. And we'll just have it as, let's say, 100 pixels. And obviously we're going to close the line off with this symbol, and let's say save. Now see we have a pole-shaped metadata field. I'll prefer 10. Click save. Oh, it works. Happiness. Lastly, let's say we want a box shadow. So we want a 3D type of effect instead of a 2D effect. And the way we're going to do that is we want a almost like a shadow effect in the background. So go to next line, click tab, and we're going to say box shadow. And we're going to say -10 px space -10 px space 30 px, and then we're going to specify the color of the shadow, RGBA, and we're going to do something similar to what we did with our borderline. I'll say 255, 255, 255, so we know it's going to be white. And what is the transparency that we want? We want it as 5%, and we specify that 0.05. We close it, and we close off our line with this syntax. So now click save. You can see we have a border. So let's go through this line of code and see if we change it, what it does to our callout. So you can see that this specify how far must this shadow be moved to the left. So if we put 1,000, we can see that the shadow is going to be moved, let's say 500. We're probably going to see that the shadow is going to be moved all the way over here. So now we see the whole shadow is to the left. To just make it a little bit more clearer to see, I'm going to change transparency from 5% to 50%. Okay, so now we have the shadow. So if we move it 800, it's basically going to be all the way to the left. So that's what the first part of the code does. Let's go back to -10 and we'll click save. You see, okay, creates a cool shadow effect. This one is going to do the same for the right hand side. So if I go and click save, sorry, it's going to go for the how far before above the callout you want the shadow to be. So obviously this is minus, so it's going to go to the top. But if we have a plus, it's going to move that shadow to the bottom. So we can either have a plus, I think, or we can just have nothing. Yeah, so plus moves it down, or it without a minus, it implies that it's a positive number, and it should say the same. We want it to be a little bit above, so let's change it back to -10. And then lastly, let's change this 30 to 300 and click save. So that's just the intensity of it. Let's go back to 3 and see what it does. Yeah, so I think the last PX specification that you can have is how scattered the light has to be. So this is a very direct shadow. If we instead go 10, you can see it's going to be a little bit scattered. So it's like, almost like a blurring effect that it applies. So we had it as 30. Let's make it 50, see how it looks. That's a little bit too scattered for me, so I'm going to go 30 again. Yeah, and that looks good. Now we go to the colors. So again, if you change the colors, you can see that you can change the color to whatever RGB color you want. But for us, we want white for now, so let's change it to 55 everywhere, and let's change the shadow back to 0.05 to make it a little bit less obvious. Now I can't see it, so let's go 0.08. Yeah, and I'm happy with that. Even 10% would be fine. So if you want to create another custom callout, you're going to go through exactly the same process. You can even just copy this, enter, paste it here. You can say create a library field here. You change this metadata name to library, and we want a book. Go back to the Lucid website, we say book, and let's say we like this library one. So cool. Go back to our code and we say Lucid library. We click file save, and now we go back to Obsidian and instead of metadata, let's do library. Don't forget the boys and girls. And there you have it. So I hope you found this helpful. Please don't subscribe and like and all the other good stuff. Cheerio.